Welcome to the 28th edition of Bliss Catchers. Thank you for helping us start on time. That's something that we're very particular about. This promises to be a very, very fascinating evening because the choice of our guests today is very unique. They have unique stories, and I'm happy to introduce them to you in a little while. They would be guest number 52, 53, and 54. That's how many we have curated over 3 seasons of Bliss Catchers in 28 editions. Now, one of the questions that I'm often asked is, what is Bliss Catchers and why do we do Bliss Catchers? And there are still some new people in the audience, so I will walk you through that very quickly. The Bliss Catchers is an opportunity to celebrate the true meaning of life. We all live one life, and we often get lost in the transactional side of life. We get lost in earning a living, we get lost in raising our families, we get lost in problem solving, that we miss the opportunity to live our lives the way we really truly want to. So the Bliss Catchers celebrates the philosophy of a great man, Joseph Campbell, the American mythologist and author. And his philosophy is so powerful, it's so close to me and to my wife, Vani. We believe truly in that. Follow your bliss, and doors will open where only walls existed. And only you will be able to see those doors. So we celebrate that philosophy, and we do that through conversations with interesting people. People who have had the courage to give up the security of a predictable career path, or people who have shown creativity by being able to balance both what they love doing and what they need to do in order to earn a living. And the stories of those people who have tried their hand at something, fallen, struggled, stumbled, and yet wouldn't give up. So Bliss Catchers is therefore a celebration of life and how to live it meaningfully. Yesterday, we were at the boat club and a friend asked us a very important question, which would lead you to understanding why Vani and I curate and anchor the Bliss Catcher series, why we do it. The question really was, how much money do you make from Bliss Catchers? And I said, why is that question relevant? The question is relevant because you keep doing it month on month without fail, and you are enjoying the process, so obviously you must be getting something out of it. Does it make money? Is it a commercial, kind of a model? And I answered differently over there, but just to give you an idea of the deeper reason why we do this, let me draw from one of my favorite philosophers, J. Krishnamurti. He was asked once, why do you keep on giving lectures? Don't you get tired of giving lectures? And he said, if you love something, you will not tire of doing it. Then the love really is not about chasing a reward or a recognition or an outcome or a result. It's not about wanting something at the end of doing something. It is just for the joy of doing it. And that's why Vani and I do it. We do this systematically month on month because it gives us an opportunity to leave behind or move away from our zone of our own zone of stress. We're dealing with a very, very painful, decade-long bankruptcy. And so life can become very, very challenging. It is very challenging. And if we stay in that challenging zone, we will be challenged forever. We'll be suppressed and depressed forever. So an opportunity to curate an event series like Bliss Catchers or a couple of other series that we do across the city, we totally do 4, gives us an opportunity to be useful. And we invite audiences who care to pause and reflect. We invite them to look at the stories of people around us, people like us, like you and me, and see what learnings can be drawn from them. That's why we do Bliss Catchers every month. We do this also because for us, for Vani and me, our higher purpose in life, what we wake up for every morning is to inspire happiness. And that brings us to today's edition, why we have curated these beautiful people, Liz Thottan over there, Balajee and Subadra, and their stories. So let me introduce them to you and then invite them to join us here. But as I do that, let me tell you why we curated their stories this way. As in, people often ask, is there a logic behind the way you invite your guests? So if you hear Liz's story, she kicked a corporate job. She walked out of a relationship that was going nowhere for her, and she took a literal deep dive to do surfing in Mahabalipuram, found great joy in that small, quaint place, as she calls it, and she celebrated that joy by setting up a cafe over there. So she not only just earns a living out of that cafe, she literally lives a full life out of that cafe. And what's interesting is that she does this for only 10 months in the year. The remaining 2 months, she takes off. She shuts down the cafe and takes off exploring this big, beautiful world. So Liz Thottan's story is one of, at one level, she's walking the line of lunacy. Not many people will dare to take that plunge. At another level, she is perhaps showing us all the way that if you walk this way, no great dangers exist. You can thrive, you can survive, you can live, and you can live meaningfully. So that's the reason why we chose Liz for being our guest today. Thank you, Liz, for being here with us. Thank you. I'm really looking forward to our conversation. And we have Balajee and Subadra. Subadra has an economics background and an MBA, and she worked in market research. She's a consultant at KPMG. But something happened in her life a few years ago that drew her to art. And today, her Instagram handle and her Facebook page are very popular, Art by Subadra. And the work she does is amazing. A large part of her work is, correct me if I'm wrong, is using Indian art, and Madhubani particularly. You've even published a book, right? An adult coloring book called Shakuntala and Her Magic Box. So you will find, if you go and Google her, you will find her art speaking to you. You know, it's very powerful, and she's much sought after, so she's got a waiting list of projects and clients waiting to use her services, because she dabbles between her work and her art, and she manages that tightrope very well. How she does that, we'll learn. We'll ask her. Balajee, who's you might have guessed it by now, is Subadra's husband. They're married and they look so beautiful, so much in love, both of them. Balajee is an engineer. So he's an engineer with an MBA, and then did banking for a while. He was a relationship manager in banks. And then he did marketing and branding for a while. And now he's into education. He works with the American School. That's on one side. But he has been writing a very popular blog called The Local Tea Party, which is very Tanglish humor. Would that be a right way to describe it? Tanglish humor, The Local Tea Party, which led him to start writing plays. And now he's currently in the Short and Sweet Theatre Festival, which is coming up next week. He is directing a play, right? So his writing has stayed constant as he's been exploring different career options, and his writing has taken him in the realm of entertainment in terms of even putting out a series called Black Sheep, a web series. Control Alt L, is it? So you didn't do Black Sheep. Okay, Control Alt L for Put Chutney. You would have all heard of the brand Put Chutney, the online channel Put Chutney. So that's what Balajee does. And so thank you, Balajee, for joining us. It's fantastic to have you. Now, what's so special about, or what's so unique about these two stories? Here's one person who's taken the deep dive, and here are two people who are maintaining a beautiful balance between their regular jobs, the paying jobs, and their art. So we're looking at two different worlds today, and we will explore how they beautifully fall in place and how we can take away some lessons from their own journeys. Okay? So, awesome people, please join me here. Liz, Balajee, and Subadra. So I'm taking this chair. You can be seated anywhere along the way. Okay. Okay, so those are your mics. Turn them on, please. So the format for our conversation, so may I make a request that now that we have more people walking in and settling in, please check your mobile phones and keep them on silent mode. You can use your mobile phones to take pictures. You can tweet them to @AVIS Viswanathan, that's my Twitter handle. Those of you who are regular here, I can see Ramesh settling in somewhere there at the back, yeah. Ati walking in. So those of you who are regular here might see a slight difference. We ran short of bar stools, so we had to go back to the sofas from the past season. So those of you at the back, if you're not able to see us, please move forward. There are some vacant seats here in the middle. So let's get started with the conversation. Are you all set? Yeah? Okay. I forgot to mention that, I don't know if Liz, you remember, I'm sure you do, but I forgot to mention when I introduced Liz that how I got introduced to Liz was that she read my book, Fall Like a Rose Petal, which is my book out there. She read it and she was among the first, we were among the first people to write a review of the book, and on Amazon and on Goodreads. And that's how I read the review and I knew of Liz, and then a common friend introduced you to us. And here we are sitting in this conversation. I can't even imagine. You know, in 3 years we've connected and we've known each other now, and you know, it's a fascinating story you have. So I'm looking forward to that. And Subadra and Balajee were introduced to us by Sriram, formally, but it was my daughter Anchal who walked up to me and said, "Dad, you know, for Bliss Catchers, you should be actually curating the stories of Subadra and Balajee, and Subadra in particular because she follows your Instagram handle." And that's when I heard of Art by Subadra and Subadra, and went up and looked up all that. Then Sriram made the connection. So Sriram is a Bliss Catcher from Nalanda Way, so thank you, Sriram, wherever you are and you're watching this or listening to this. Thank you for connecting us. So let's get started, and I'll probably start in that order, and we'll keep, the way we will run this conversation is we'll go back and forth between the three stories, and at some place in the middle we'll have a quiz segment for you people to take questions and win these fabulous mugs. And then we will complete the conversation between us and come to you for Q&A closer to 8 o'clock. Okay? For those of you who are new here, we are also supported by our gifting partner Hazel, who give away these beautiful journals to our guests. So they are a gifting partner, and those of you on your chairs, you will find these discount coupons which you can use for purchasing any Hazel product. Thank you, Gopal. I thought I saw you somewhere coming in. Gopal? Yeah, he's here. Okay. Okay. So Liz, my first question to you. Take us a little bit back in time, before this wonderful awakening happened and you took that deep dive to start surfing in Mahavs and all of that. But if I know your story well, or what I've read of it in the Hindu, a couple of articles you've written, it was in around 2010 that you began to feel very restless in your job, very unhappy with the life you led. Take us into that time. Tell us a little bit about that time, how you were feeling, and talk about the emotional state of mind at that time.
2010, I just got a divorce, and I wasn't sure, should I do a business or should I get into a corporate job? And there was this whole confusion about being a single woman, getting into business. You need to get so many things done by the government. Will the government act funny with me? Will I be able to do it as a single woman? And when I was thinking about all these things, business, job, or anything, I got an opportunity to work with Blue Dart Aviation under the managing director. So I was like quite excited. Okay, corporate life, fancy clothes, fancy shoes, let's go to work, and we'll have more friends. But somewhere in that time when I walked into Blue Dart and I started the job, I kind of felt like, I was caged in something that I couldn't put my finger to what was it that I wasn't happy. I had a great job, I had a great salary, there was everything fine. It was a job that people would buy for. But I was not happy because I was going to a closed atmosphere where in my mind I wanted to do something on my own and something that liberated me. So I've been on this process for a very, very long time, throughout the 5 years while I was there. What is it that I want? I couldn't just put my finger on what is it I want. You know, I had everything, but I would hate weekends. I would just like, my God, another weekend to deal with. You know, there's nothing that I wanted to do. I didn't like going to parties. I didn't like socializing so much. So I was just in my house all by myself, and I felt like I worked so hard. Also in the company, you know, in a company atmosphere, you have a lot of people. No matter how hard you try to do good for the company, there are a lot of people who want to pull you down. You know, so this kind of irritated me. Like, I put my 100% into a job, and there is really no appreciation. And then I started to think, why not put that same effort into myself? But there was no courage to do it. So, and it was just at that point of time, you know, in those 5 years, like surfing happened, and
we'll come to that.
Yeah.
We'll come to that. But look at this. This could be anybody's story out there. I've gone through that phase myself when at least Liz was working for someone in someone's company. I was working in my own company. I was the CEO, and I didn't feel like waking up in the morning and going to work. So, you know, many a time we encountered this question within us: what will make us happy, right? What do I want? I don't know what I want in life, and I want to be happy, but I'm not happy. At that time, the point that Liz is making is very, very powerful. The better way to examine it is recognize what makes you unhappy. You may not know what will make you happy, but recognize what's making you unhappy and what's making you feel listless and lost. And when you recognize that feeling and peel it away, peel out that source of unhappiness, you will be drawn in the direction of happiness. And that's really what must have happened to you, Liz. So now talk about how you ended up. So were you working in Chennai at that time?
I was working in Chennai. I was working at the airport. Okay. It was a very, very interesting job. You know, I learned everything about the aircrafts, and I was much wanted by the DGCA and Ministry of Civil Aviation, because Blue Dart is the only logistic company in the country that is doing domestic logistics, and therefore, you know, everyone wanted, you know, ego elation, to be honestly speaking, you know. In every aspect of my job, my ego was elated, you know. Oh, can we meet Liz? Can I have an appointment with Liz? And, you know, anybody would die for a job like that. And I was like, I'm irritated with all of this. And it was in that, somewhere around that time, in 2013, a friend invited me over and said, hey, come, let's go to Mahabalipuram for a beer. So I went to Mahabs, and I was sitting there and having a beer. I had absolutely no clue there was a surfing scene in India at all, you know. So it was just not in my horizon at all. And I was having a beer up on the terrace of a cafe there, and I looked out to the ocean and said, what are those kids doing in the ocean? And the guy sitting around me said, they're surfing. I'm like, what do you mean surfing? The thing that they do in Old Spice ad? Because I couldn't just relate that we have surfing in India. So they said, yeah. And the surf instructor, Mumu, he looked at me and said, you look like a surfer. And I said, do I? So shall we go try it out? And he said, come, let's go. And he gave me a costume. He gave me a few practicals. And then he said a few theories. And he said, come, let's go to the ocean. I was very comfortable with the ocean even before. And he got me on the board. He took me deep inside, got me on the board, took a few rides, not very interesting. But on my fourth ride, he said, stand up, you know, with authority, like, stand up now. And I just stood up, you know, it was like someone shouting with a gun on your head. And then I just stood up, and that moment when I stood up and that wave took me towards the shore, it's just inexplicable. I cannot even describe to you what that feeling was. It was a sense of power. It was a sense of, wow, I can do this. You know, where you constantly are questioning yourself, you know, it's something that I didn't know existed in India. Overnight, I'm standing on a board and riding the wave, and I rode those waves that day for 4 hours, and Momo was like, I'm leaving because I have other jobs to do. You can sit with the board and do this for 4 hours. I don't have time. So he left. I did it for 4 hours, and I came back home, and that was a weekend. I came back to my office, and sitting in my office during my break time, I went back to the internet and went to YouTube and started reading up and watching all the surf videos as to what are the techniques and what is everything. And this went on for a year. This was 2013. This went on for a year. I was hungry for more, and I just couldn't forget surfing. I remember there was not a single weekend that I didn't go to Mahabalipuram from that weekend of 2013 June. And somewhere in 2014, I realized my heart is there. Every Monday morning when I drove back to Chennai, I came back with such a heavy heart. My mind was not in my work. My mind was constantly at the surf. I was looking at all the videos, all the classes that was there online. And the process to tell Blue Dart, hey guys, I'm leaving, that took much longer than anything else. I took the decision. But they were not willing to let go. They said, no, you can't go. What do you mean you can't? You want to leave to go to Mahas? You can take Saturday, Sunday off. We will give you Saturday off mandatory. It went on and on for 1 year. But you know, your frustration level reaches a limit, and then you burst out and say, I'm leaving. I don't care whether you want me here or not. I'm leaving. So it was a process of 1 year for me to decide, because Blue Dart has been very kind to me. They were fantastic with me. You know, as a staff, they treated me very well. So I felt a sense of responsibility to not leave without them finding a replacement. But it took quite a while for me to convince them, listen, my heart is not here. I'm physically here, but my passion is gone. My passion is lying somewhere else, and I need to go. I want to do this. So, and then in 2015, I said, no, it's not happening.
We'll come to your story for how you ended up setting up the cafe, but here is the key takeaway from what she just said. From a person who was hating weekends, now she was looking forward to weekends. And on the first surf board ride, you knew this is what you wanted to do for the longest time in your life, right? So there is an aha moment there, you know. But then it took a year of working on it, recognizing it, and allowing yourself to be led in that direction. Now here's the, my favorite poet again, Rumi, who has said that if you want to be held, you must open your hands. Most of us keep our hands folded, in a closed, in a figurative sense. In terms of clinging on to our positions, our jobs, this idea of security and all of that. But only if you let go and open up your palms can somebody hold you and take you forward. And that somebody is waiting for you, which is your life. So beautiful narration there. Thank you so much. We'll come back to your story in a bit. Today we have 3 guests, so we will have to go back and forth a couple of times. Subadra, to you. So you were this very, focused person in market research after your graduation and MBA, and you had a 5-year stint in market research, and then you're a consultant now with KPMG. Where does art fit into all this? How did your art journey really start? Can you talk about that starting point?
Yes, it was honestly very, very random. So I think I graduated in 2011. So I had this job. I got employed there in 2011, and I was working with IMRB for until then, and it was all going fine. Not like I was complaining about my job or anything, but just then outside of my job. So I go at 9, 10 in the morning, work till 7, 8, and I didn't really I was not really actively pursuing anything outside of my job. That was pretty much it. So it was just a very random moment. So it was one of my very close friends' birthday, and I just said, I mean, because she likes like personal gifts, I said, okay, I'm going to paint a pen stand for her in gift. It was just that. And I was painting these 2 pen stands and I gave her, and I mean, of course, I would put up a picture of it online, on Facebook, and people commented saying, oh, that looks quite nice for the first attempt. So then I went on to paint a jug for my mom to give her. So it was just that. So over the next, I think like 3-4 months, I would paint gifts just to give a friend, an acquaintance, something like that. And over the next few months, as I was painting more and more, like people started telling me, oh, I would like to commission something, you know, I want to buy your work and things like that. So which is when I started realizing that, I mean, one, of course, I was really deriving joy out of what I was doing, because I would come home and I actually had something to do other than just, you know, social media or something. I really didn't have a hobby outside of work, so that's how it started. And for the first time, I found something to do outside after I come, and I was actively pursuing it. And I think over the next 1 year, one thing that I was doing was I would paint like very, very regularly. Probably even if not 7 days a week, I would paint at least 5 days a week. So I think the more you keep in touch with what you do, the better you become at it. So for example, for Gulu, for Navratri, like me and my mother painted about 125 pen stands. So she happened to be good at painting. So just keeping in touch with the hobby made me, you know, become good at it. At the same time, also discover things that I had no clue of. I just started discovering Indian art forms, the Madhubani art form, or Patachitra. So I would read about it, and it's just all of those, you know, the colors coming together, all of that. It just started getting, you know, it excited me. So I kept pursuing it over time. But it
were you at all in school or when you were growing up in any form connected to art?
No. So that was a funny bit. So my mother, like she has been an artist. She knows to paint and all that. And so even during Guru, when, for example, when she says, "Come help me with something," I used to really dislike it.
Seriously? Okay.
I used to be bad at, so most of my drawing projects in school or anything will be done by my mom.
Okay.
It was not like I didn't think I was good at drawing. I didn't think I was good at art. So when I randomly picked up that pen stand in it, I don't know, I probably was good at it, but I never realized it before. I was so surprised that even as my mom, I think still she's surprised that I can actually, you know, where did all this sudden painting thing come from?
And it's been what, 6 years now?
3 years. 2014 to now.
Okay.
3 years.
3 years you've been doing it steadily.
Yeah.
Okay. I have more questions for you, but an important point I want to share is that we all think that bliss is that huge, to be chased, pursued, found, you know, and that very elevated thing to be found in life, which is beyond the reach of the average person. That's the way people think about bliss, and that's a myth. If you take Subadra's story, it slips in very, very casually. You know, it just slips in to her life very, very casually, and obviously it's taken center stage to more than she would have imagined, and we'll talk about that. But the key learning is that it doesn't always have to be a big bang moment. It doesn't have to be something that's annoying you, chewing you, and making you feel restless. It's not something to be necessarily pursued, chased, and found. It can just be, you know, experienced because it's just slipped into your life. I have one more question for you, Subadra, before I go to Balajee, which is, you talked a little bit about joy. Can you expand on that a little more? What kind of joy do you experience living in the real world, running a family, working and dealing with work stress? How does your art help you deal with these things better? Do you, when you say joy, do you really feel that it takes you away from the stresses of everyday living? That's my question.
Yeah, it does. So, I mean, I've been pursuing art for 3 years now, and I'd say that, I mean, over time it started becoming more serious in the form of commissioned art, or for example the book and all that. But now I don't think I can imagine just going, doing my job, and I can't imagine a life without my art.
You can't.
Yeah,
okay.
I cannot.
Okay.
So it may not be like I may give myself, say, 2 months break from commissioned work. I may say this month or next month I'm not going to take up any commissioned work, but that doesn't mean I will still pursue. I still want to pursue art in some other form, because I'll tell you, like when I don't remember. So there was a slightly long gap that I didn't paint it, and then after that I started painting a kettle. When the colors came together, it literally brought a smile on my face. So that's the kind of joy I get out of painting, or even something like designing a wedding card. Like when I see the work coming together, it's very different. So because I think I still have a job which is extremely different from any of the last job. There's no color in color
in consulting.
In consulting, yeah. Like I remember one of my previous managers. So even for them it was a surprise that I can paint and all that. So he's like, I don't see any of this in your slides. Your slides are like so boring. So, but no. So I can't imagine right now because over these 3 years I've consistently seen the joy that art has been given to me. I can't imagine a life
without
art.
it. That's interesting. That's a very powerful observation. Thank you for sharing that. Let's go to Balajee. And by the way, I perhaps missed this trivia in the beginning. This is the 3rd time we are having a couple in Bliss Catchers. We've had in the 1st season Preeti and Srini of Kriya. In the 2nd season we had Ramnarayan and Gauri Ramnarayan, and of course the whole family, which is the family of Bliss Catchers. And then now in the 3rd season we have Balajee and Subadra. So Balajee, I have a very straightforward opening question to you. Can you connect the dots between your very interesting career so far, your work career, your professional career so far, which is banking, marketing and branding, education, and the local tea party, writing. So how did local tea party come in there, or was local tea party always there?
I think I need to outdo these people now. I haven't. I'll try to tell a better story. No, local tea party, just like Subadra, happened purely by accident. So I'm still trying to connect the dots with my career, because I still don't know what exactly happened. Every few years there's an unrest in my job situation. Like, I think I'm bored of this industry. I need to.
So is that how you've been moving from banking to branding?
Okay, I'll try to now that I'm a little bit older compared to what I was now, and I'm trying to look back. I think I'll try to make sense of what exactly happened. So when I was doing banking, it was as with any bank, it's a high stress job, and you really don't have time to think about anything else, and you're always behind targets, and every day run. I was very early in my career, I got bored of it, and not and I wanted to do something for the society. It sounds very corny and cliche, but I really wanted to do something, so I started to study for civil services.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, so I was studying for civil services. But the foolish thing I did was I never quit my job. Civil services, studying for civil services is a very, very serious thing, and you need to dedicate that time. And I thought I could manage both of them. I could not, so I did not clear civil services. But I really didn't. So at one point I quit my job for a brief 3-month period to write the exams. But I failed the exams. But at that point, I think I had tipped out to the other side. I didn't want to go back to a banking or a regular corporate job. So I wanted to stay in the development sector. That's when IFMR happened, because it was finance, which was banking, which I was doing all the time. But it was microfinance. I was going to deal with farmers and deal with farming loans and all of that. So I wanted to get into that space. So that's when I came up with this job opportunity in IFMR, and I applied, and they said, okay, what can you do? I didn't want to do sales, so they said, what else can you do? So I said, I can write well, I can, I used to freelance for Times of India for little, small articles. I said, I can do a little bit of journalism. I said, okay, be an in-house journalist and record our stories and do this marketing and communication about our company. So that's how I got into IFMR, and I was there for 5 years. And because I was an IFMR, I got a lot of networking done in the NGO space. I used to work with a lot of other NGOs, and I was very comfortable in the development sector. So after 5 years, again, I went to my boss and said, IFMR microfinance is a huge industry, and for me to stay and see any kind of change for myself, I'm someone who wants gratification. We live in an age of instant gratification. I wanted to have some gratification. I said, I want to see some change. I want to make sure that my work is useful. So, I was there for 5 years and I needed some change. And my boss said, well, this is farming. You have to put in 50 years, to see some changes. This is a 10,000-year-old profession. So if you are dealing with farmers, you need to spend a lot of time. But if you're interested, I can put you on to another industry that is equally exciting. And that's when he introduced me to the American school. Okay. His son went to American school. Okay. He said, they're looking for someone like you. And he was very gracious. He was very interested in me as a person than me as a resource. So he said, oh, okay, you want to do something good for society, go and help kids learn about NGOs and help kids do projects for NGOs. So that's my career. That's some sense I'm trying to put into my career path. I've been in the school for 3 years now. We teach community activities to expat kids. So that's my day job.
That's your role. That's my day job. So when local tea party happened here, when, around what time, and how have you sustained it?
So when I was in IFMR, when I was experimenting with a lot of this writing, because I was doing journalism, in-house journalism for the company, so I was experimenting with a lot of these blogging platforms. So there were all these new blogging platforms back then. There was only Blogspot, and then there was WordPress, there was Tumblr, and a lot of these new blogging platforms, and I wanted to experiment with it. So one of the ways to experiment is to set up your own blog. So I set up my own blog, and I didn't know what to call it. So I said, okay, I'm going to call this. It's going to be a very local blog, and I'm going to call this a local tea party. There's absolutely no logic. It just happened on a Saturday afternoon when I was really bored. And I wrote a couple of articles in very local English, like how I would speak to you off mic. It's with a lot of Tamil words thrown in, and very local English, just like how an angry father would shout at his son.
Right.
So it's something like it's that tone I adopted, and I wrote a couple of blog posts, and I forgot about it. I had, by some whim, I had just posted it on Facebook, and I had completely forgotten about it. This was on a Saturday, and on a Monday morning, I opened my Facebook account. The blog post has been shared 1,500 times.
Wow!
I was shocked out of it. I was like, what on earth is going on? I had no clue. I didn't believe it. So people started commenting on the blog, who is this new person? Because apparently blogging was a big scene, and there were a handful of really good bloggers in Chennai. And they had no clue who this new person was who was just writing random, and they found it quite funny. Because it was a blog by a vegetarian against non-vegetarians, because when vegetarians and non-vegetarians go to eat, the vegetarian eats only vegetarian food, but the non-vegetarian gets to eat both foods.
Right.
So, so it was just a friendly banter. So that's all it was. So now people started asking me, who are you, and are you going to write more blogs and all of this? No, maybe this sounds interesting. Maybe I should do more. And I started writing more and more blog posts, and more people started connecting with me. So that's like, wow, okay, I think maybe I have something going on here. Maybe I should continue writing, and that's the actual beginning of my writing.
So that's how long have you been doing local tea party now?
My blog is about 6.5 years old now, 7 years old. Yeah.
So again, it was almost like accidental.
It was purely accidental.
Purely accidental. But what does the process of writing do to you? Does it give you joy? I mean, what do you derive out of writing?
I think at some level, okay, I've been writing family regularly. I still write my blog. I also write a lot of short plays, short stories. I wrote a screenplay for the web series, and now I'm working on a couple of movie screenplays. And all this happened very gradually over 7 years, when more and more people started discovering my work and said, can you write this? So we went on a trek a couple of weeks back. We went to the Himalayas. So we were completely cut off for 10 days, no internet, no computer, nothing. So we were completely cut off. And about 4th day or 5th day, I told my husband, I think I need to go back home and start writing. I have to sit and type something. I need to have those characters floating in my head. And I just I may look like lunatic looking at, I'll be sitting at my dining table laughing at myself and just typing, some funny lines in my head. But I'm on a different plane when I do it. So, I don't think I can put words, but that's what happens.
Beautiful. I think I'm glad you're not putting too many words. Lunatic at a different plane. At a different plane. That's what bliss really is. You can't describe it. You can't put words to it. You can't give it form. It is an experience, and it's unique to each person. So for her, she can't see a life without art, and for him, he gets restless. We get restless without a mobile phone. He gets restless without being able to write. So obviously there is a very deep sense of bliss there. Thank you for sharing that, both of you. And I think the other thing about Balajee, and I've experienced that personally too. At one time, in a 10-year stint, I kept 8 jobs. I recently met a gentleman, Jayendra Panjabakeshan of Real Estate, who said that in an 8-year stint he kept 14 jobs. Okay, so and he beat my record somewhere in my head. I think restlessness is a great sign of progress. And if you are restless and stick to it because of insecurity, then you're going to be suffering. But if you let go and move on, then a local tea party awaits you, art awaits you, a cafe awaits you, a life-changing experience awaits you. So you've got to let go and move on. And don't hide from restlessness. That's the sense that I'm picking up from all 3 stories so far. But at this point, we're somewhere midway through our journey this evening. I'm going to break for the quiz segment. So are you all ready for winning these mugs? Yeah? So these questions pertain to my 3 guests today. Okay? If you have read the invitation carefully, if you have known their stories, read their stories carefully, if you have heard them carefully, you should be able to crack these questions pretty easily. They are very dumb questions. Okay? So I do expect a lot of hands to go up. My line of sight, please respect it, and my judgment, please don't question it. Okay? In case you lift your hand and she lifts her hand and I give it to one of you, then the other person please adjust money. Okay? So we have mugs going for you. So the first question is, can you connect? I almost have a sense who's going to answer this. Okay? Can you connect Jack Welch to one of the guests here?
Liz?
Not Liz. So now it narrows down to the other 2 people, so you make the choice easy.
Him.
Yes? Why?
I think it is basically the Odyssey.
You have the answer, but you don't have the logic.
No, basically it is something, it's working towards that. It's some sort of a...
No, you're analyzing too much. Now, supper question get us, sir.
He got into writing, like Jack Welch's book.
No. Again, you're all analyzing it too much. But I'll still give the mug to Neelakandan. Sir, can you come forward? I'll give the right answer. The answer is his last name is G.E. So, his last name is G.E.
I was thinking Jack was straight from the gut, something to do with
exactly. I was thinking straight from...
So you're all thinking too much. Don't think too much. So you now know my level of intelligence. Okay, my intellectual quotient is out there. Okay? I sit up at 3 p.m. at my desk. I have to leave home by 4:45 to get here. So I sit up at 3 p.m. at my desk and say, what quiz question can I ask? In that time, I'm not thinking too much. I'm just sipping my tea and deciding. My next question is, which airline code will you connect with Liz?
Lufthansa.
No, not Lufthansa.
LH.
No.
Jet Airways.
Not 9W. Good answer, buddy. Thank you.
Southwest.
What's the code? You have to have known her story. You know, you should have read this invite properly. No?
Kingfisher. Us, please.
No. It's such a sitter. It's such a sitter. You don't know the answer, Liz? Don't give the answer out. Okay, nobody gets this. We'll pass it for lack of time. But the answer is Emirates, because the airline code is EK, and the name of her restaurant is Ellie's Kitchen. I told you these are dumb questions. Okay, these are very easy questions. Okay, connect Subadra with Bihar. Madhubani, yes, Arun, yes. That was quite good. That was quite great. Madhubani, yes. Madhubani comes from the Mithila district of Bihar, Mithila region of Bihar. So there we are, 3 questions down, 3 more coming up later in the session after the Q&A with the audience. So Liz, coming back to your story. So tell us about how you quit the job and how you moved to Mahabalipuram and set up Ellie's Kitchen. What's the story there? Doesn't it require, obviously it required a lot of guts to do what you did. Single being one side, I won't even say that's, I wouldn't even look at it as anything special. I would say, anybody just quitting their job and trying to do what you did would give them palpitations. But you went there daringly, so where did that daring come from? And how did you tie up all the loose ends?
So when I decided, okay, I'm going to give up on the city life and I'm going to move to this small little fishing village, we are so conditioned to think that fishermen are all murderers. I'm sure you've heard that story, Oh, fishermen, katti, kola, and all that stuff, okay? So my family freaked, my friends are like, are you crazy, Liz? You're going to live there? What if those fishermen get angry at you? They might come after you and they kill you. And I'm like, I've been there in that village for 1 year, and those fishermen totally adore me because I'm the first Indian. But it's always nice to have these things. You have to convince yourself you can survive. How that comes, of course, things will happen differently for you. But once you are convinced that you can survive, and if the survival doesn't come from anywhere else, you have to survive from within yourself, that itself gives you courage. I had kheer in my garden, I had chilies, I had curry leaves, I would eat rice and kheer. This was my thought. Though it's not that way, but I went to that extent to convince myself, Liz, you can do it. There's nothing that can stop you from doing this. So it was 6,000 rent, 1,000 rupees for provisions, maybe electricity bill. I said, I need to have 10,000 rupees in a month to live this lifestyle. And I had a little bit of provident fund which I got from Blue Dart Aviation. I put that into a fixed deposit and I said, okay, I'm going to live on that for 2 years. After 2 years, if I starve to death, I'll go back to my corporate work. Blue Dart had given me the word that any time you want to come back, our doors will always be open for you. So this was a conviction with which I moved to Mahabs. And when I moved to Mahabs, trust me, it was not fear, it was liberation. The day I unpacked and I went to Mahabs and put all my furniture and whatever, I sold 90% of what I had in Chennai because it's a small house. 1 bed, 1 sofa and 1 fridge is all I took back to Mahabs. The basics that I wanted to live. And I settled down there, and the first thing that happened to me is, okay, welcome to Mahabs. A fisherman came and gave me a big bag full of fish. All the surfers came down to welcome me to Mahabs, and we had a big party on the day I moved into Mahabs with just fish fry and rice. No big shit. It's just simple things like this. We had a nice party and I was so liberated. I felt so good. I felt like some huge burden from me has been lifted, and I felt like this is something that I've been searching for 23 years of my corporate life. And it took something very close to Chennai, like Mahabalipuram, for me to find what I was searching. Sometimes it's right in your backyard and you don't realize it's there. So after the next day, I was taking my surfboard on my head. I carry it like a pot on my head, walking down to the beach. Now again, when I quit and when I moved there and when I said, I told myself, leave it to the universe. Don't take life by its reins and try to lead it the way you want it to go. Let life lead you. And things will happen. You have 2 years guarantee in your bank that you can survive for 10,000 bucks for 2 years. Something will come up. Just let it all surrender to life and let life take you where it takes. And this is exactly the point on which I live every day today. And I was walking down to the beach. One of the fishermen, he came to me and said, did you move here? We saw, you bringing a sofa and a bed. And I said, yeah, I moved here. What do you plan to do? I said, I have no clue what I plan to do, but right now I'm going surfing. That much I know. So when I come back, we will decide what I should do. And he said, no, come with me. Just leave the surfboard. He took me to his house. I left the surfboard by his house. And he said, come with me. I want to show you something. It will take you 5 minutes. You can stop surfing for 5 minutes. So I said, oh, okay, this is the second day of my moving to Mahat. I walked behind him and he opened the door and he showed me a very cute little house. 1 living room, 2 bedrooms, 1 kitchen, another portico. And he said, this is yours, run as a homestay. I was like, no, I don't have that kind of money. Did I ask you any money? I didn't. Just take it. Run as a homestay, 8,000 your rent. You think you can't bring 8,000 rupees people to stay in your homestay in a month? First start with 8,000, your electricity bill. Trust me, this town is so touristic, by the time it's season, you will want to have 2 more rooms. I went that minute, went to the bank, picked up like 20,000 from the bank and I said, let me give you some deposit because this is all I can afford right now, but I'm taking the house. That's how I started the guest house. I had no idea of running a cafe or anything. And I started the guest house. It was full the second month. I made something close to 50,000-60,000 rupees, where I was thinking of spending 10,000 for a month and how to survive. And when guests started coming in, I would do their breakfast every morning. And the guests asked me, can you do lunch? Because we really like your chutney. So I said, of course, I'll do lunch. Or dinner. So I said, I will do dinner because after breakfast I have other stuff to do, I will do dinner. So I started doing dinner and I started to see that the guests didn't want to go out and eat, they only wanted to eat my food. Basically because, honestly speaking, Mahabalipuram has one single menu for everything, okay? Whether it's prawn or fish or vegetables or anything, it's one masala and they call it by different names. So for them it was a very welcoming thing that somebody was giving them. Home cooked food, Kerala style, lots of coconut milk, which is very easy on the palate of the foreigners. So I started this and the cafe started to become popular.
The cafe is a place to die for because it's looking out into the bay. Now that's what the universe can deliver if you let go.
Yeah.
A cafe by the bay on the terrace in the most scenic.
But when I started, it was inside the guest house.
And then you moved here.
And then again, like this guy who came to me and told me, take this house and run a homestay, his best friend, he said, why do you want to cook in that house in such a small place? Why don't you take my terrace, convert that into a cafe so you have a larger audience? That happened a year after I moved to my house.
So it's how long since you've been running the cafe now?
2 years. I moved to my house now 3 years.
2015, and this is the 3rd year. And the cafe itself is 2 years.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Some of the points she makes are so powerful that you have to let go and let the universe take over, let life take over. You surrender to life. And only then will you be led in that direction. I think controlling and trying to, want to determine your own path works up to a point, but beyond a point, it's always letting go that works better. I have one very important question for you, but I'm going to come back to you, where we talk about your travel. and the model with which you operate the cafe, but we'll wait for that. Subadra, do you have such plans of letting go and surrender to life and taking that deep dive? Aren't you not getting too many offers that what people are not suggesting to you? Suggest, Subadra, make this a model, make this a business plan, set up an office, set up a studio and all of that. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, so I think those questions they've been coming probably for a year now as to, why do you, so it was last year, sometime now that I moved from my previous company to KPMG, and so when I told people that I'm quitting my IMRB job, most were like, so are you finally quitting to pursue art? And somehow it never struck me, or it never occurred to me that I may, I have to quit a job and pursue art full time. So one thing which I have to mention is I'm in this very fortunate position where I actually like my job.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So in IMRB I was doing market research related to education, and that's when I started actually getting quite attached to the sector of education, and then I came to know that there is but whatever the projects we were doing were very tactical, were very limited, and then I came to know that there is a division in KPMG that does education based in Chennai, and I'm not exaggerating, but there would be times when I would go past the KPMG building and I want to work there. And finally I actually applied sometime earlier as well, but I did not make it. And then I applied again last year and I made it. And so I have a job where I actually like what I'm doing. So we work with the government, we work with private sector in school education and higher education. So I'm making what the job that I do still makes sense to me. That's one. And second was, I think sometime when I was working on the book, so that's when that was one of my first serious projects, because we had a deadline. Like we decided that we are going to it's a self-published venture, and we decided that we are going to publish the book in February, and we were rushing against the deadline. And that also happened to be a period when when work kept me very busy. So there was time when I have to travel quite a lot. At the same time, juggle the deadline to publish the book. And honestly, that's when I first felt that I was able to do it. So something that I've been told a lot is how whatever work you want to do, it expands to full time. So during that time, it's not like I would sleep only 3 hours. I still slept those 7-8 hours. Just that I would probably be more efficient at work, and I would be more efficient at home also. So because that month, I think last year, Jan, Feb, towards when we were publishing the book, I felt very confident that I can manage a hobby that's pretty much a full, like a second career of sorts. I could manage that alongside a full-time job. And then when I moved to KPMG and when I really started liking the work that we do in my team, and it started making sense to me, the thought of, at least as of now, the thought of whether I should quit my job to pursue art, it
hasn't arisen.
It hasn't happened yet. Also, I think having really supportive managers really helped me. So when we published the book, we had this exhibition. So my entire team came for the exhibition, and they bought a copy of the book. Similarly, even at KPMG, it's recognized that I have this other interest, and the workplace also gives me recognition, and it sort of doesn't come in the way.
So you're able to manage and balance.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying. That's interesting. But are you not tempted? Haven't people told you there's a lot of money in art of the kind that you're doing and strike gold when offers are coming to you?
Yeah, see, I'll tell you what, I think it would have been a far easier decision to deep dive into art had I hated my job.
Right.
So because I'm doing something that's still making sense to me, I think if you ask me like 10 years down the line, do I see myself in education? I probably do.
And you see yourself in art as well?
Yeah. So
how do you juggle between the two? Supposing you have a pressing deadline at work, travel, and then you have a commission project for which you have a deadline. Do you stay up late nights to complete it?
So I take up the art projects I take up very carefully. So if I know that say July is going to be a difficult month, I usually don't take up, I probably take like 3 or 4 projects a month, so that even if
you're able
things
to
get,
pace yourself.
yeah. So because I'm still doing, for example, like I'm working on a wedding card now, and it's going through I think like the 15th or 16th iteration, and this is not, the iteration is not happening only because the person wants it, it's also because like I see sense in the iteration that I'm doing, like without even the other person asking for a change. Like I want to, that attention to detail is something I want to give, and I think because right now I'm not in art only to monetize it, right?
Beautiful. I was looking for that answer. So art gives you joy,
Yeah.
and you will do it as long as you can. And the work that you're doing currently gives you joy, so you see no reason to separate from it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
That's a very mature stand you take at a very young age. That's amazing. Many people will be confused, and I have a friend who bakes bread. He's an artisan baker, right? He's an artisan baker. So we all went to him and we said, you cook so well, you bake such great bread. Why don't you set up a cafe? Why don't you set up a restaurant? And he said, to be a food entrepreneur is very different from being an artisan baker. I'm very content doing my baking for my joy. I don't want to monetize it. So I think that clarity is very, very important. You pursue something that you love doing. You follow your bliss to be happy, not to get into another vicious cycle where you are managing everything. Recently, I saw Liz being invited to manage a cafe, a second cafe, and and in one line she replied, saying she doesn't have the bandwidth, and I totally understand what she means. If you stretch yourself on the bandwidth, you're going to stop enjoying the life that you have, and that's what has happened to many of our lives. And here's someone with that amazing clarity. Thank you, Subadra. Awesome. One very important question for you, Balajee. How did you graduate from writing a blog to writing plays? Now I heard you're writing screenplays, and you're also doing a bit of direction.
Yeah.
So, or you're directing a play for the Short and Sweet Festival, theatre festival. So how did all this happen? What's the story there?
So the blog introduced me to a lot of people in the writing network. Like the blog put me on the social media map. So before that, I was literally no one, and then the local Tea Party character put me on social media map where a lot of people would connect with me, and through them I came to know about the Short and Sweet Theatre Festival that happened in 2000. That happened for the first time in 2011, I think. That's about the same time I wrote my blog. So I went to see those plays. A lot of people there said, hey, your blogs are very funny. I think you should also submit a script for a festival. So I submitted a script. I had never written a play before. I probably directed one play when I was really young, when I was in school, but that's about it. So I wrote a play and I submitted it. They said it was funny, but they didn't make it on stage. So I waited for 1 year and then I submitted the same script again the following year, the same Short and Sweet Theatre Festival. And that time it got picked up, and a director said, oh, this is very funny, I'm going to take it and direct it.
So your genre is humor.
Yes.
Humor and very local humor, like the way we speak.
Yeah,
Conversational
I sort of believe that the more rooted it is, the more relevant it is to the people who watch it. So I sort of always write local flavored stuff. So
how did you deal with rejection? The first time you submitted a script, it was rejected, you said.
Yes.
So how did you deal with it? Many people might have said, oh, maybe I'm not good enough, and walked away. But what gave you the courage to go back and submit it again?
I think I never saw, okay, I think I still feel very insecure about my writing. I still think I'm not, I cannot call myself a writer. I still want to call myself an aspiring writer. So I always have the urge that I'm not good enough. I think that, when I see other people's work on stage, I always think, this guy is so much better. I think I should, I need to match this guy. I mean, I always go back and work because I'm very insecure when it comes to my work. So that aspect has sort of helped me in some sense to say, okay, I need to rework on it, I need to tweak something. Because that first year, that's a great question, because the first year I clearly remember I went back to the director and said, why didn't you direct my script? Like you said.
Oh, you went and asked him that
Yeah,
question.
you said you liked it, but why didn't you direct my script? And he said, like, I went for the other script because, it was much more structured, it was well-rounded. So I learned the craft of writing, from scratch. So I read a lot about screenwriting, I read a lot about playwriting, and I learned it's a craft. It's no longer an art. The minute you enter a stage, it becomes a craft. There are certain tools that you're supposed to use. So all of these were new, and I was watching people who knew all these tools. So I knew I was a novice when compared to all of that. So I went back and learned, relearned. So one of the when I put on that play, one of the audience members watched the play, and she happened to be a movie director. She had already directed a movie. So she called me over and said, like, I really laughed out loud at your script, at your play. Would you be interested in writing a movie for me? I was like, oh, of course, why not? And I had nothing. I knew nothing about movie writing. But then the minute I got this opportunity, I read a lot about movie writing. I learned what screenwriting was all about. The movie project never took off, but it firmly put me on the map of the other writers who would be interested in working with me, because somehow they saw that I'm able to produce a little bit of funny scripts here and there. So they saw some potential, and I enjoy writing. So that's how I graduated from a blog post to writing a movie script.
Ever thought of taking the full-time plunge? Is there a need for a full-time plunge?
There are two parts to this question, but one is you asked Subadra that there's money in art, right? But can someone tell me there's money in writing? No?
I am a writer myself. Ask me, and I totally second that. There is money in writing, provided you cross a tipping point, and that takes a long time.
Yes, exactly. So which is why I'm coming back to the second half of my answer is, I still don't think I'm that big a writer to command a big pay that I can quit my job and pursue writing full time. At the same time, I really want to make this writing. I want to get so good at writing, and so the only way to get good at writing is to make it a habit. And right now, I'm in the process of making it a habit. I think you become your habits. So the more you write, the better you become. So right now, I'm in the process, and I think eventually that there will be a time when people will be willing to.
That's a very beautiful answer. That's a very important perspective to hold, because one of the things he said, and I quote him, he only wants to be in the state of an aspiring writer. He used the word insecurity, but I'll replace it with dissatisfied. He's dissatisfied with his writing, and you should never be satisfied with what you do. You must be restless. You must want to move it to the next level. And I think you have the right focus. Be the aspiring writer, be the student at all times, be the seeker, and the universe will unfold. So somebody in the audience sitting here might commission you to write the next screenplay. Who knows, right? We're running very tight on time, so this is going to be a quick question, but I know, Liz, you articulate very well, so keep it very sharp. Why this model of, and this is the last question before we come to the audience for questions. So why do you, can you tell us the idea behind your model of operating the cafe and your business model for 10 months of the year and taking 2 months off? And tell us a little bit about the logic there.
See, I've been in the corporate world for so long, and I've always, begged and borrowed for 2 weeks leave and 3 weeks leave, and I'm a wanderer. I am an absolute wanderer. I love to go hunting, go places, climb mountains, get lost, and all that jazz happens in my life. So when I decided to do my own business, one of the first things that I told myself is that I won't become a slave to my job. When you become a slave to your job, you've lost your life. We are not here to work, earn, sleep, and save for the future. What is the point of me saving money to travel the world when I'm in my 60s, when my legs are not going to move, when my back is paining? I would rather travel now. So, whatever I make money, I will enjoy it now. In my 60s, you all can come and watch me lying in bed, and and then I will have lots of stories to give you about the countries around the world. It's not a dream, it's real stories. I will show you pictures. So, this is, live for today, You make money, you have the money, you have the potential, you can travel alone anywhere in the world today. You live for today. All this dream about future is not going to happen. It's all going to rot, you're going to die, your money is going to be enjoyed by some of your children. And that's it. I don't want that life. I live for today, I make money, I work very hard for 10 months, very, very hard. But when I take off, when I'm sitting in that airport to take off from this country, I've forgotten that I have a cafe back in my house, a life back in my house. 2 months of absolute wandering, mindless wandering. I have absolutely no...
She's just finished wandering all over New Zealand, and we all followed her journey on Facebook. So I think that's an amazing perspective. Live for now. To save money is not inappropriate. It is not even unimportant. But to live for saving money is definitely a questionable choice. Live for now, when you have health, when you have time, and when you have life on your side. That's the message. I wish I could, I could borrow from that. We do it in our own way, except our means currently allow us to only wander around Chennai. But we're very happy doing it, Vani and I totally believe in this. So, on that note, we'll go to the audience. If you notice already, this session is slightly over time in terms of the segments. So, I have to keep it very, very sharp to a question. And we have exactly 5 minutes for question and answers because we are going to go to the quiz segment and to the wrap. We have 3 guests this time, so managing time is very critical. The first question, please. Raj, Ram, two hands have gone up. Yes, Raj, your question.
Yeah, my question to Subadra is this one job wonder. You experienced that, and after that you developed this art as a hobby, and then developed as a commercial venture. So my question is that you get that energy, you do better in your job as well as you do better in your self. That energy, I want to your view on that.
How do you have the energy to do both? And do both so well?
Yeah, so I think so when I started, for the first time in my life, I had a hobby, I told you, right? So that's when only because I have something to look forward to when I come home, say, finish. I think, let me tell you, so when one of the first big projects was painting those 125 pen stands for Navaratri, right? So that was the first time I had like a deadline at home. So that was a deadline that was not a work deadline. And through that period, because I know that I have to finish those many pen stands, I knew that so at work I would be more productive. I absolutely, let's say, if I had to cut off checking social media during work, I cut off, or if I had to stop checking WhatsApp during work. So it sort of made, I consciously felt that I was getting more productive at work. Because I would not, earlier, because I would not really have much to do at home, I would bring work home. And because now I suddenly have something to look forward to at home, I consciously stopped bringing work home and work towards like my home art deadline. So that project, for example, for our wedding, we painted like these posters to give for friends. So all this was, while having that job or while having like wedding preparations to do. So these things sort of made me believe that it's possible to juggle, and you don't have, it was basically making me efficient both at home and at work.
Beautiful answer. Important point to note is that if you don't have something to do, then you invent ways of taking work home. But if you have something to look forward to, then you invent ways to juggle the two and manage the two. That's the takeaway. Yes, Ram, your question.
Yeah, this question is for Lizzie. Can you dwell a little bit on your relationship with the ocean?
Your relationship
with the ocean.
Oh my goodness. I got emotions. My relationship with the ocean. So when I am surfing, it teaches me a lot. And in the last 3 years of my surfing life, it has calmed me down. It has taught me a lot of patience, because you have to wait to get the perfect wave, and that waiting can go up to 20 minutes. And I bring that back into my life on a daily basis. If I can wait in the ocean for 20 minutes, why can't I wait in a bank to get to the teller and collect the money? What is the hurry, you know? So it teaches you a lot. And the biggest thing that it did to me was, and this I'm very, very grateful for surfing, was it humbled me. I feel like a small speck when I'm in the ocean. It humbled me. It made me realize how grateful, it made me feel grateful for the fact that I have a sport like this, interest in a sport like this, to change a lot of emotional aspect of me on my day-to-day life. So for me, ocean is the God I seek. You know, when I'm depressed, I go to the ocean. When I have a bad day, I go to the ocean. And everybody in Mahabs is like, when I'm sick, I go to the ocean. Ocean also cures like diabetes, high blood pressure. Like I had a bad back sprain from the flight I took back here. And I was literally trying, you know, difficult to walk because of, you know, the various seating positions on a flight. And my fisherman owner said, what are you struggling? Just go to the ocean, just go surf. I came back from the surf and my back pain was, you know, so I'm always grateful to the ocean for giving me so much in return in life.
Thank you so much. Wonderful, beautiful answer, beautiful question. I am going to move on. Unfortunately, only 2 questions this time, but we have questions from the guests to the audience for your mugs. So please get ready to press the buzzers. Liz, your question. Your question for the audience.
Okay, my question is from my town, Mahabalipuram. Can anyone explain to me what's a bas relief?
What is it?
A bas relief. Have you heard of the word bas relief?
It's what projects a little on the panel. You have a little projection of sculptures.
Yeah.
From the rock.
Yeah, it's this, and why I asked you this question is, guys, Mahabalipuram bas relief is the only standing bas relief in the world today. Everything else is destroyed in earthquakes.
Oh,
so we have to be very proud that we have something like that standing today.
So bas relief is a projection of a sculpture.
It's a 3D projection of a sculpture on a panel.
On a rock panel on the surface.
Is it the
Very
rock
nice.
temple?
No, the Arjuna's pedals.
The Arjuna.
That's the bas relief.
So Usha, your second mug? Third mug. Yes, you're collecting quite a few mugs. Okay. Your question, Subadra.
Okay, I'm going to ask a question about Chennai Metro. So, yeah, Chennai Metro. So we have the Little Mount to Airport line. Name any 5 stations on that line. I've already given you 2 stations. Okay?
You want 5, is it?
Yeah.
Airport.
Alandur, Airport, Trishula.
Arumbakam.
No, okay.
Arumbakam.
The Little Mount to Airport line I'm talking about.
Little
Okay, so I'll start
Gindi, Alandur, Parvat, and Sirisu.
No, okay.
I guess.
Gindi. Little Mount, Alandur, Meenambakam. St. Thomas Mount.
Okay, there was one in Airport.
I think who gave the maximum answers?
Yeah, he gave.
Who gave the maximum answers?
Ati.
Yeah.
So you're talking about Little Mount to...
Yeah.
Okay. Ati, your second mug?
I don't have count of the mugs I've taken.
Okay. Balajee, your question.
Okay, since I'm writing screenplays, I want to ask a question about a Tamil movie. Tamil movies are okay?
Yes, sure. Yes.
Tamil movies from 1960s okay? I don't know. People are like, he's like, how people must be like, how good is Balajee?
Krishnan must be bad from answering.
Okay,
Krishnan
so
just left, so you can be safe.
He's gone.
So Besame Mucho is a song from 1940. It's a. He didn't let me finish.
We can give him the mark.
Okay, might as well.
But you can finish the question and give him the mark.
I will finish. But I
Oh my god.
okay.
So please explain to us.
Okay, I'll explain the question first. So Besame Mucho is a Mexican song from 1940, and it's one of the most popular songs that have been made into many covers by different people, including the Beatles. In 1964, M.S. Viswanathan wanted to use that song as a cover version for his movie Balajee Ge. I wanted to know the name of the song. He didn't even let me finish the question. The song is Anuvam Pudumai from Balajee Ge.
Yadav, so we'll shortly convert this to beer mugs. Right? We'll petition to.
the original song?
Was it sung by Diana Krall also?
Possible.
Yeah, I think Diana Krall
Possible,
also
because
sung.
it's been sung by many artists all over the world.
Give us our idea of the original, if you can sing.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, we have to move on, but thank you, Liz, Subadra, and Balaji for your questions, and thank you for participating, everybody. Really loved the energy and the competitive spirit. Though I do find that some people do walk away with the mugs more number of times. So we'll set up.
Time out. I'm going to be inclusive. We will take mugs. I owe Avis a mug for a reason which he knows. Somehow it didn't happen. But I'm going to ask you a question.
We don't have time, sir.
No, one question. If you get it right, you get the mug.
This is like Occupy Bliss Catchers, huh?
Get it wrong, money gets the mug.
Okay.
What is the name of the writer who used to write humor in Hindu in the 90s, who had a Gujarati wife?
I have no idea.
Mug goes to
What goes to what?
D.M. Gadadhar.
Oh yeah, of course. Thank you so much. Thank you.
And you know what it is for.
Yeah, I know. Thank you. So thank you, Liz, Subadra, and Balaji. What an awesome conversation. We're going to give them the Bliss Catcher trophy. Please stay on. We still have 3 minutes of the session still left. We're going to give them the Bliss Catcher trophy. Is Parandaman here? I'll do it myself. Okay. So you get a Bliss Catcher trophy and a Hazel journal. Thank you for being here with us. Here's yours and your Hazel journal. And Liz, thank you.
It's a pleasure being with you.
Thank you so much. Please be seated. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's always a joy to curate a Bliss Catcher edition. It gives me personally an opportunity to learn from guests. I'm a student, I'm a seeker at that time, and I think each one of them brought a different flavor to today's conversation, and I go back very enriched, and I'm sure you too. I'll close with what I'm picking up from these stories. I'll close with my perspective here, which is that, again, I'll go back to my favorite Rumi, who said, why are you in a prison when the door is open? You know, we have this sense of imprisonment, getting trapped with our lives and the way we live them. And he says the door is open. You just have to go. In another context, he said, why do you crawl when you have wings? You've been given wings, but you're crawling. And if you look at Liz's story, it's all about using those wings. And if you look at Balaji's and Subadra's story, it's a beautiful confluence of allowing your bliss to kind of come into your life and awaken you, and you're learning to manage and balance it in such a way that you can have the best of both worlds. So bliss need not mean that you have to give up one for the other. And so why do you want to be in a prison when the door is open? Why do you want to crawl when you have wings? I'll leave you with that thought tonight. Please do keep coming back for our Bliss Catcher editions on the last Saturday of every month here at the Odyssey bookstore. Next month we have two very amazing guests. One who's an animal conservationist and a conservation educator. He's all of 28. and he's got a body of work which is 15 years old. Okay, and he's Ramnath Chandrasekhar, and we have Mahesh Venkateshwaran, whose wife Aruna is here with us. Mahesh was managing $1 billion business at Cognizant, decided that he was not growing any younger, wanted to do all the things that he wanted to do in his life, and took the deep dive. To quote him, and we'll hear him talk to us next month. He said he left a lot of money on the table because he said that doesn't matter as long as he's going to get to live the life that he wants to live. So I'm really looking forward to that conversation. That's on 29th of July, Saturday, here at 7 p.m. And I now have, Liz shared how her life, how things happened in her life because she surrendered to the universe. Vani and I have been in the state of surrender for the last a decade or so. And interesting things happen, and one of the recent interesting things that have happened in my life is that there is now an app called AVIS Viswanathan, thanks to my dear friend Ram Kumar here. He was, his company has set up an app for me to share my daily blogs, podcasts, and my video blogs. So if you are on Google Play, you will find the app AVIS Viswanathan. You can download it and you can get my daily podcasts and blog posts and video blogs. I share life lessons there. If you are on iOS, you may get it in the next week. So if you check a week later, you should find it up on iOS as well. So stay in touch with us. Thank you so much. Good evening and good night.
Thank you.